The question is the House to now adjourn and give call to the honourable member for Moncrieff.
Well, there's been a concerning rise of violence against women and minority groups, not only here in Australia but around the world. And we've seen an increasing number of attacks on Jewish places of worship, schools and businesses. People are marching in the streets in Iran in protest to the unacceptable and abhorrent violence being carried out against women and girls by Iranian authorities, not to mention their treatment of the Baha'i faith community, which I spoke about earlier this week during my private member's motion. And in the United States, we saw a gunman open fire in a Colorado LGBTIQ+ nightclub, killing 5 people and injuring 19 others. The ongoing war in Ukraine, the treatment of the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar and the Uyghur community in China, and the list goes on, Mr Speaker. Sometimes it feels as though we've taken 5 steps forward in reaching equality and to celebrate diversity, and yet at the same time we take 3 steps back. Last week was the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and I acknowledge the speech that the member for McPherson gave in the chamber. In Australia, on average, 1 woman a week is murdered by her current or former partner, and it's an absolute tragedy that in our country this continues. And yet, with that statistic in mind, we know that there are women in other countries who are in much, much worse situations, who have no rights. In Iran, for example, many in this place have condemned the actions in Iran following the violent arrest and death of 22-year-old Iranian woman Mahsa Amini for not covering her hair with a hijab. For the past 2 months, Iranian women have marched through the streets, burnt their hijabs and cut off their hair in protest against the Islamic Republic and the treatment of Mahsa. Human rights groups have reported more than 300 protesters, including children, have been killed and an estimated 15,000 people have been arrested. The Coalition stands with the Iranian-Australian community and condemns the action of the so-called morality police and the treatment of women and girls in Iran. And we continue to call for tangible action, including targeted sanctions in response to violence and human rights abuses in Iran. We call on the Albanese government to stand consistent with other countries. We also stand with the Australian Baha'i community in condemning the mistreatment and persecution of Baha'is in Iran, who have been routinely persecuted, arrested, detained and imprisoned because of their beliefs. In January 2020, I visited the refugee mega-camps of Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh with Save the Children. I thank them for that delegation. In that environment, women and children are exposed to gender-based violence constantly. And the measures that families take, if you're a young woman, you are often kept hidden until you're of age to be married, which oftentimes is 12 years of age. The Australian government at that time provided safe places during the day where women and children gathered to sleep safely, to engage with one another for support, some $700 million at that time from the federal government. I also want to mention the senseless killing of 5 people at Club Q in Colorado in the United States. This was a place where people of the LGBTIQ+ community went to feel safe. And yet many of them may never feel safe again because of the ignorant and violent actions of one man. It's not the first time that LGBTIQ+ community has been attacked, and unfortunately it's unlikely to be the last. But we've had enough. We must condemn the actions of those who choose violence, and we seek to persecute those who are different, and who seek to persecute those who are different, albeit because of their faith, their gender, or simply for who they love. I'm proud to live in Australia, a country where you can practice your faith freely and live without fear of persecution because of your beliefs. But we all need to do more to defend the human rights of minority groups wherever they face oppression and persecution across the world, and I acknowledge the comments by the member for Bass before me. We stand with all of you, and we condemn those who persecute, marginalise, discriminate or commit violence against anyone, but particularly violence against women and children. So to those of Jewish, Rohingya, Uyghur, Baha'i faith, the LGBTI+ community, women, there is no room for this in our world.